Okay, welcome everyone to CovéaPod, which is focusing on our commercial lines, SME and schemes business. My name's Steve Dennis. I'm the Commercial Lines Director of Distribution and Business Performance. I'm pleased to say that I'm joined today by our Commercial Lines Director, Keith Hector, Nicki Crabb, who is our Head of SME and Schemes Trading, and Ian Newman, who is our Head of SME Strategy and Development. Thanks all for your time today. Keith, I'd like to start with you, if that's okay, please. So can you talk to us a little bit about 2023 and what's been happening since you took over as the Commercial Lines Director earlier in that year?
Of course, yeah. Thanks, Steve, and welcome everybody to CovéaPod. I think 2023 started really strongly for us. We were confirmed as having Institute of Customer Service accreditation with distinction. For those of you that know, the Institute of Customer Service works really closely to arrive at its assessment, including not only assessing service standards and performance, how quickly we turn things around, what quality is invested in that, but also they interview our teams and ask them how they're feeling about the service they're providing and how they're bought into that. So we were really proud to receive ICS accreditation with distinction for commercial and broader across the business as well. Further to that, we invested in our central technical model for SME and schemes and developed that in terms of how we work much more dynamically in an e-traded market. We improved our standing in the Insurance Times E-Trade Broker Service Survey as well, which was really pleasing for us. That was something that we wanted to do in terms of advancing our service and proposition. We launched web chat for SME referrals late in 2022, and that came into its own in 2023. I'm sure Nicki will reference that as well when she tells about service. Subject to the impact of the weather at the end of the year, which we're still working through, we delivered some really strong loss ratios across the SME and schemes book and underlying performance that will stand us in good stead for 2024 too. Company-wide, it's probably rude of me not to plug our winning the Customer Champion of the Year and also the Insurer Diversity and Inclusion Excellence Awards at the the Insurance Times Awards at the end of last year. And for me, clearly, as I took this role up in late June, early July, I was busy assembling my new leadership team. And then quickly, it was about getting on to setting our longer team strategy and plans to carry on moving the business forward. We've also had a new chief executive join the business, George Damacedo, and I've been working closely with George to introduce him to our team and our customers. So quite a lot to fit into those 5 or 6 months since I started. But there you go, Steve.
All right, thanks, Keith. Appreciate that. Ian, if I can come to you next, what classes of business or products are you looking to write in SME, and how would you define our risk appetite?
Thanks, Steve, and it's great to be able to talk to all of our listeners on this pod. So we have 6 classes of business within the SME sector of commercial. We have our core distribution, which is Actress and Covéa Insurance Online, where we distribute trades and professions, electronically traded commercial combined, retail and salons, offices and surgeries, and our property owners product, which covers both residential property and commercial property owners. We also have our motor trade road risk product, which is distributed via our broker online system. And we like to work with the specialist motor trade brokers on that product as they've got the expertise to distribute and understand what that market looks like. We do have a broad appetite within the SME based around the UK market and the majority of sectors, other than the real high risk areas. And for us, we don't write in the food and hospitality trades and trades which involve plastics. But other than that, we do like to write risk up to the £10,000 premium bracket, and we look to support brokers where we can in writing the majority of the risks. Just to add to that, I'd like to say that we've probably invested a lot in terms of our people and technology to continue to make our products as efficient as possible and to write more business that go through the machine in terms of Actress and Covéa Insurance Online without touching the sides. You know, the idea being we improve the customer experience for our brokers and make the journey as quick as possible. Where it doesn't work through the system, we have a great trading team, which I know Nicki will talk about later, in terms of providing a great service to our brokers.
Brilliant, thanks Ian. And Nicki, moving from SME to schemes, What do you look for when we're considering underwriting a scheme?
I think the key thing we're always after when we look at a scheme is a partnership with a schemes broker who is a real industry expert in their specific niche. So when we're talking about schemes, we're talking about a group of customers, a group of clients that have that common need where we can design with an expert broker that product that suits all their requirements. So for us, we want long-term partnerships with brokers. We want to build and continue to develop products, and we also want profitability. And that also, again, helps the broker because then they're going to benefit from it as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nicki. Keith, stepping away from that, or back from that slightly, how would you see the macroeconomic environment playing out in terms of rate across our business in 2024?
Thanks, Steve. I've listened to a few industry commentators in competitors and in brokers talk about this over the past few days, and I'll try not to be repeating the same stuff, but inevitably I think I will end up doing that. I think some of the bigger picture, such as the conflicts in Ukraine and in Palestine, and the uncertain economic backdrop that we've got around the changing government that will be coming, is the headlines of that. But how that plays out in practice is I think we're seeing that claims inflation is reducing a bit. There are still some headwinds. I think the supply chain issues, particularly around motors, seem to be easing in terms of the availability of new vehicles. I saw that the data yesterday said that we produced over 1 million vehicles in the UK last year, which is back up to getting towards a peak again. But I don't think that's entirely flowing through in the broader supply chain for motor. I think tyres in particular, I'm really nervous if they wear out on my car because I don't think you can get them, not that it's anything fancy. So I think there are still those issues in terms of the cost of motor claims in particular, and fleet and our vehicle aspects of our motor trade risks. So yes, still a bit problematic there. We're clearly open to whatever the weather is doing and how that impacts on overall costs in the market, reinsurance and so forth. We've had some more weather events over the past couple of weeks. It doesn't seem like we've been hugely impacted by those in terms of the spread of our book, but clearly that does play a part. Now, with all of that, most of the brokers that I've spoken to in December and going into January are telling me that market rates are settling a little bit in casualty. Property increases and probably expected not to be quite double digit, and that motor is still very volatile. You'd clearly get some different opinions, but in general, that seems to be the theme. So what we have to do is work very closely with our brokers as the year progresses to make sure that what we do is appropriate, that we're generally in line with the market rather than standing out, and that we are providing competitive terms according to the cost that we're bearing at point of claim.
Perfect. Thank you, Keith. Nicki, can I point this one at you, please? Because I know how important service is across our business and to you personally as well. So what service levels have you got in place, and have we got in place across commercial lines, and particularly in SME and schemes here, for turning around quotes and ensuring access to underwriting support and advice?
I think if we break it down, if we talk about SME first, so we have our various distribution channels and we have our different ways to contact us. So you can either contact us using the Actress referral function. You can use that on Covéa Insurance Online. We call it CIO. So I'm just giving you that so you know what I'm talking about here if I say CIO, in case you think, what's she talking about now? So we have that option as well. You can also phone us, email, or as Keith mentioned, we have our new relaunched, well, it's not that new now, but it's been over a year now since we relaunched our enhanced web chat. So we have those three different options, and then we do have our set SLAs. So depending on what product line it is, what deal, we would generally be working to same day, a few hours. And I'm really pleased to report that consistently all through 2023 across SME, all of our SLAs were always in the 90s. So for December, our SLA, if we're getting back to brokers on all of our SME products, was 96%. When we talk about schemes as well, we have a 24-hour SLA. And again, that sounds quite a long time, but we usually resolve that within a few hours. What really helps in schemes is where we've got a dedicated referrals team alongside our team of lead underwriters. So we've always got a wide team of people to be speaking to.
Fantastic, thank you. And Keith, Nicki, I'm going to point this one at both of you. So if I can start with Keith, and then Nicki, if you can elaborate on anything specifically around trading. So Keith, what do you see as our core strengths in the business, and how will we look to develop those in 2024? And then Nicki, again, if you can comment specifically on trading after Keith, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah, I think absolutely crucial to what we do is having an expert team in the centre, one that understands the dynamics of the model, looking to maximise that model. So they've not only got the technical expertise around the insurance product implications, but also they understand how that works in a digital environment, in a very dynamic environment. The word flow is something that we've adopted widely across our products in terms of looking for increased flow in everything that we do. And then naturally knowing that when we have a referral, that referral is going to be a productive experience for us and for the broker, that we're directing the right things to referral, and there's a reasonable chance of a good outcome from that, and that our team are knowledgeable and are able to respond to that properly. Because, as Nicki's has already touched upon, service is incredibly important to our overall proposition. So we need to know that when our people are involved, that they're going to have a really productive outcome for brokers. I think beyond that, that expert team in the centre are very closely aligned with the pricing team, which also sits within the commercial central expertise. And we've also got very strong working relationships with our claims and actuarial colleagues that help us to develop our understanding of the portfolio, and work very closely with our pricing colleagues, who are very aligned to our personal lines pricing tools and techniques, where we've got obviously a more sophisticated model going out through our personal lines offer, and we try and lean into that as much as we can to make sure that we've got a cutting edge pricing function. And absolutely crucially, we're 100% broker only. We don't have the distraction of other distribution models. We focus purely on making this work through our brokers. So I think that gives us something that's pretty compelling and helps us to stand out against the package of benefits that other providers may or may not have.
Thank you, Keith. And Nicki, on trading core strengths?
So for me, I think with our core strength for trading is something that we've put in place across SME and schemes trading for the last few years, which is we've empowered our people to deliver a great service. So what that means is we've got a really robust trading plan that we do across all of our underwriters. It shows some really clear progression opportunities. And through last year, what we'd had was our SME and Schemes Trading Academy. So we're really, really good at the technical side, but we've also now enhanced and upskilled our people in those softer skills, in those trading skills. And we're going to be continuing that next year. I think one of the things I'm really, really proud of in SME and Schemes is we always have this continuous improvement culture. And I think by doing that, we're always looking at how can we be better? And I think that really feeds into the great service that we're known for and that we always provide to our brokers.
Okay, Nicki, I'm going to stick with you if that's okay, just for one more minute. So give you an opportunity to do a direct pitch here, really. I know you enjoy the limelight. So why should our brokers use us for schemes portfolios?
Thanks, Steve. And I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to talk about why brokers should use Covéa for their schemes. We touched on earlier that schemes is really profitable business. But I think if you come to Covéa, I can tell you that every single scheme is important to us. We like our long-term partnerships with brokers, and many of our schemes we've worked together on for many years. I think as well, where I say every scheme is important to us, it does still have to be right for both sides. A lot of time resource can be put into launching a scheme. So I think it's key we get that right, and we know that that product is going to work. I think one of the other key things that you'll get when you come to Covéa for a scheme is our dedicated schemes team. We've touched on service, which is always really excellent, 24-hour SLA, but a lot sooner. You're going to have your dedicated team of contacts, so you'll have a lead underwriter, and we've mentioned continuous improvement at all. We don't just launch a scheme and walk away. We're always looking, how can it be better? How does it work both for us and the broker? And we've also got our dedicated referrals team. So again, it all links back to that great service that we provide.
Keith, I'm going to come back to you again, if that's all right. And then Ian, Nicki, if there's anything you want to add, that'd be great. So are you worried, Keith, about the impact that AI will have on the insurance industry?
I think it's a really topical subject. I went to the Insurance Innovators Conference in November last year, and it was dominating most of the sessions. I think my take on it is that at the moment, AI is a really big opportunity, particularly for insurers and brokers and others in the value chain. Clearly, the big efficiencies that have been delivered at the moment around data and trends and refining and optimizing models and processes. I think over time, yes, the underwriting process, the technical aspects of judgment, will start to see more efficiencies from AI, but I think that will mean that our people will be able to write more business. They'll be able to raise the premium threshold of what they write. The sophistication of our underwriting should increase, rather than this being something that our people should be nervous about. I think that interaction between people and that negotiation to get the right solution for clients is one of the bedrocks of our industry. So I think it will only help that. I think the word scared, absolutely not. I think we need to embrace it. We need to provide better products, better services, better outcomes for our brokers and their customers. And that's where the benefit will lie. I think a crucial aspect that we should be wary of is the explainability aspect. So the idea that you would use AI to refine a pricing model, to refine the algorithms and how a price is delivered to the end customer, you have to understand how you get there. And the idea that we have to be responsible as an industry for product fair value to customer, but we wouldn't be able to explain what the funky model in AI has done in our pricing, that would be, I don't think that's an outcome that we can tolerate. So we have to be very clear about how the model's working and what we're seeing and how it's refining that price and how that still offers ultimately the right value to the customer. I think that's the bit that immediately I see as something that's quite challenging, and again was a key topic at that summit that I went to. So yes, that's probably where I'd land on AI for now. Now it's a very dynamic situation. I'd expect to give you a different answer towards the end of next year around the sophistication of the models and how the industry is adopting them. But clearly it's dynamic, it's moving very fast, and it's very interesting.
Just to add to that, Ian? Yeah, I was just going to say, for me, AI is a massive positive for the insurance industry as a whole. You know, I view it much more as an enabler rather than a threat. For me, going back to what I was saying earlier, when we talk about increasing the flow, which Keith also touched on, you know, if we can better understand how our products are performing, quicker and slicker, we can make those decisions and be more dynamic in our underwriting rules. We can also use it to improve our trading capability, helping understand where we can convert more referrals and therefore aligning our resource accordingly, and therefore also getting back to the brokers quicker to help them be more efficient in getting back to their customers. And again, so for me, it's about being more proactive rather than reactive in our underwriting decisions as well.
Fantastic, thank you both. And finally, Keith, if I can finish with you, what support are we offering brokers around, you know, things like training, regulation, networking?
Through one of our acquisitions, we've built our broker training academy over a number of years, which has been incredibly successful. That covers a number of topical subjects throughout the year. We mainly lean into webinars at the moment because there's a very cost-effective way of delivering that training, but we do also provide leadership development support, which has been really popular and got some fantastic feedback from our brokers who sent members of staff onto that program. In essence, that replicates what we provide for our own internal team in terms of our development programs, and is seen as really valuable by the brokers that have used that. Specifically on regulation, we work really closely with our brokers. In fact, Lee Venimore, our head of distribution, has set up a broker community of specialists that we can tap into and share around developments in regulation. It's clearly been a very dynamic picture over the past 2 or 3 years around where the regulator is taking the consumer duty and the various aspects of that. And to help us with that, we are a BIBA partner insurer. We are very, very passionate supporters of BIBA and what it does to lobby the government and lobby the regulator around the right path for brokers and for their end customers. So we work very closely with BIBA, with the team, with Graham and David Sparks, and support their manifesto. And we learn from each other in terms of the right approach, the intent of regulation, and making sure that we deliver that in the right way. And finally, we also have a number of different networking opportunities for brokers. We're in the throes of arranging our broker breakfast for the first quarter, where we'll sit in front of a group of our brokers, explain our strategy for this year, but also share dialogue on various topical subjects. And we will be doing roadshows throughout the year. We'll be mindful that we don't want to replicate what we did in 2020 and 2021 and start super spreader events. I think we'll check our healthiness before we do those events this time. And we're also going to be obviously visible at a number of conferences and events throughout the year. Principally, one for us that's a real biggie, of course, is the BIBA conference in Manchester in May, which we're always proud and enjoy supporting.
Fantastic. Thank you, Keith. So that completes this episode of CovéaPod on SME and schemes. Thank you again to Keith, to Nicki and Ian for your time. Thank you to everyone for listening, and this will be made available through both Spotify and on the Covéa website.
Smashing. Thanks very much for listening, everybody.
Cheers all.